Hello and welcome to episode 19 of the Churner's Digest. As always, disclaimer, I'm not a financial or tax advisor. This is not financial or tax advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please enjoy. If you want to support me, you can support me on Patreon, patreon.com/Churner's Digest. Lower starts at just $1. Goes all the way up to the Cleed tier. Shout out to Cleed. I also have a referral page. There are some referral links in this episode that I'll be discussing about that aren't supported on that referral site, so they'll be just directly in the show notes. And there's show notes on my companion blog, fearthez.com. It'll be in the show notes. It'll be a link to the companion site. But some admin stuff. First off, we did get some new Patreon members. I know last episode I discussed that there are some posts that I want to share that are more timely that I'm not able to do with the podcast because I only post on the podcast probably like once a week. I'm trying to keep that up at least. And there are certain things that expire like in a day, and I can't share that in the podcast because I kind of just jot them down in my notes to discuss in the podcast at the end of the week. But things that are timely, I do share on the Patreon. I just recently started, so we had 3 posts this week, and I'll discuss each of them in this podcast. So you're not missing any content. It just isn't coming out timely. So if you're interested, go ahead and join the Patreon. It only starts at $1. We did get some new members, and part of the $1 tier is you get shouted out on the Patreon if you wish. I did have someone that wished to not get shout out, so I won't be mentioning their name. But we did get some new members, namely Bryce, Avi, the redacted member, Shelly, and Richard. So welcome to all of you. You now get to hang out with Cleed in the Patreon. I tried using the Patreon chat feature to send out the updates, but it looks like it's kind of half-baked. It only works on mobile, and it looks like, well, at least Cleed told me when he tried to access it in app, it just didn't load the message. So I'm just posting them as posts, but I'll discuss what was shared here if you find them interesting or if you think that you get use out of it. Like I said, it's only $1 a month. It's just kind of a way to get back for some of the expenses of the podcast, which is mainly just the website hosting, which isn't too much money, but just getting a little revenue from it is nice. But it's mainly out of a hobby, so I enjoy it. And if you want to contribute, by all means, thank you. Some things that will come on the Patreon as well. There is still the link to my unpublished show notes. So before the episode comes out, I have a Google Doc where I share my show notes where I'll be discussing what's coming up in what I will be discussing in the coming episode. So if that's something you're interested in, it's on there, and as well as those sort of lightning deals that happen quickly. Maybe I'll call them that. It's kind of a nice little catchy phrase. But I also, Black Friday's coming up, and I like to do Black Friday shopping. I like to do research and finding good deals. So anything that I find interesting that's timely, again, will be posted on the Patreon. But anything that is just like a Black Friday deal that I'm going to be taking action on, I'll be covering the Patreon. So I'm not doing a great sales job of the Patreon, but if things are timely, if they expire quickly, they will go on the Patreon. All right, enough about the Patreon. Let's get into what you're probably here for. This is just a kind of an update week, not a topic episode, so we'll just be going on over some topics. So first up, if y'all remember, I think it was back in episode, what was that? Let's find out. I should do this beforehand. Episode 10. Yeah, episode 10 I discussed I left Juno, which is like a fintech. They had some decent interest rates for the checking account, and I just recently switched to Wealthfront. So if you want to hear that transition, listen to episodes 10 and episodes 11. But I still use Juno sparingly for things here and there, mostly for some crypto stuff that I do. I don't do a lot of crypto, but I do have a little bit of a play I'm using in crypto right now, which is nice. But Juno just recently devalued their J-Coin. If you know, Juno has their own little internal coin. I don't even know it's crypto. Internal rewards system. Like Chipotle points. Juno has J-Coin. Well, they did have J-Coin when I was using, and they just recently rebranded it to J-Points, which, okay, but my guess is it's probably for legal purposes because they devalued the J-Coin. Since J-Coin are now J-Points, I think they're able to just change it because the value is now worse. So previously you were able to redeem an Amazon gift card. The best value for that was $50 gift card for 45,000 J-Coin. And now it's 90K J-Points for $50 gift card. So it's a devaluation of 50%, which is pretty terrible. there was already not much reason to use Juno. Now there's really no reason to use Juno. So if you're out there, that's definitely a sinking ship. They did, like we discussed in episode 18, lower some fees. So the same day transfers are free now instead of $2, I think. But they are including a dormant account fee. So if you do plan on not using the account for 6 months, like doing absolutely nothing, or you have, I think, less than $2 in there, they'll start charging you a fee. So get out of there if you meet those requirements. All right, next was some news that was very saddening to me, very sad to me, but we'll see if it actually impacts me. So I received an email from Albert this week saying that, which the screenshot is in the show notes, but I'll read it here. As of the effective date below, which is, actually I should have looked at that. Let me get that date. That date is December 6th of 2023. So in a little under a month here. They sent this out on November 5th, so they gave a month head time. As the effective date, December 6th, 2023, a Genius subscription will be required for all Albert Cash account holders. The price for a Genius subscription is currently $14.99 a month. If you're already subscribed to Genius, there will be no changes to your subscription. If you aren't subscribed to Genius, you'll be prompted to subscribe to an app. Once you're subscribed, you won't be charged for 30 days. So I've discussed this in the past, but they have a churnable Genius sign up, free month sign up, where you can sign up for Genius for free for 30 days, cancel before the end, then just re-sign up, and it gives you another 30 days free. So we'll see if that is still available. It sounds like they're still doing that, so my guess is I'll still be able to do this. I use Genius once a week at least. They have a 20% off. I talk about this all the time, so sorry, I'm definitely a broken record at this point, but I get probably like $15 to $20 worth of cash back from Genius every month, and they also don't claw back cash back. So if I really wanted to be abusive, is a harsh term. I don't like using that word, but if I wanted to be, I could route my purchase with Curve to my Albert card, get cash back for something like, say, Whole Foods for the $5 cash back, and then once that $5 posts, go back in time to move that transaction to something that earns like 5% back on groceries. And like my Discover card right now has that, as well as my City Custom Cash cards always have that. And then get like kind of a double dip there because they don't claw back the $5. So I get at least $15, $20, $25 a month. They also have like 15% off Chipotle, and I go there pretty frequently. So that, let's say $20 plus the $15 they give me for free for Genius. So I'm getting $35. Well, I'm not really getting the $15 I'm getting free from Genius, but Albert's losing like $35 on me per month from this. So at some point, they're probably going to patch this loophole, but I haven't seen it done yet. Also, looking at their support articles, they haven't updated their article, which states if you don't have a Genius account, you can still use your Albert Cash account. So I'm curious to see when that gets updated. But looking at the Wayback Machine, it looks like that hasn't been updated since, when is this? March 21st of, I think, 2022. Yeah, they haven't updated that page since March 21st, 2022. So it's not like, I think they probably just forgot the article page exists and they sent the email out. So we'll see if it gets updated by then. But I thought that was interesting. I'm curious to see what happens to your account if you don't pay Genius. Your monies are just locked there because you have no use of the Albert Cash account, and that's just the debit card account. So we'll see. Next, we have our first deal that was shared on, I think it was the first deal I shared. The first deal I shared on the Patreon, this was Apple AirTags. We're going for, I think, like $76.88 for a pack of 4, which is normally you can get it with like a education discount. It's like $14 off in addition to that, because they normally go for $89 or $90. So you can get an additional $14 off. I shared it on the Patreon, and like literally minutes after I shared it, it was expired, and both Walmart and Amazon pulled back the deal and they put it back up to the normal price. So that was shortly lived, but that's the type of stuff you'll see on the Patreon. All right, next we have another Robinhood bonus. And if you remember from episode 17, we discussed a bunch of brokerage bonuses that are going on, including Robinhood 1% transfer brokerage, which had unlimited cash back or limited match that you can do. But now Robinhood is coming out with another one that is for IRA transfers and 401k rollovers. So for this, there is again no limit to how much bonus you can match. So if you have a huge 401k or a huge IRA, you could roll it over into Robinhood. You have to hold the money there for 5 years, which is quite a long time. But you could be pretty lucrative if you have a lot of funds you can transfer over. So there are 3 separate Robinhood deals currently. I'm just reading this off of Dr. Credit's posts. The 1% bonus for IRA transfers and rollovers is no limit. This has a 5-year holding period. 1% bonus for IRA contributions, or 3% for those that have Robinhood Gold, has a 5-year holding period. And I believe you have to have gold for 2 years in order to have that, but definitely look into that. There's some weird stipulation there where I think you have to have Robinhood Gold during that time, or at least for part of that time. And then finally, there's a 1% bonus for brokerage transfers with no limit, and that has a 2-year holding period, which is a little bit easier to swallow. So this one is 5 years, the one we're discussing with the IRA transfers and 401k rollovers. So kind of a hard sell, but I figured I'd call that out just in case some people are interested. All right, next is an update from episode 15. I discussed Bumped. If you want to hear more information about what Bumped is and what was going on, check out episode 15. But basically, I had an account with Bumped. I had stocks with them. It got transferred over to Apex Clearinghouse for their customer-facing personal brokerage accounts. They were charging me fees every month, which I wasn't aware of. I contacted them and asked for the fees to be reimbursed and a check to be distributed. They said yes, and I received the check, and I've cashed it. So that is fully closed out. Next, Dr. Credit reported that if you added an EDU email address to your Postmates account, you get no fees, so like no service fee, and I think no delivery fee as well. Something to note, alumni emails will work. So if like Fear the Z at somecollege.alumni.edu or alumni.college.edu, those will work fine. I don't know if Dr. Credit specifically said this, but from what I've seen, because I transferred my account. I didn't transfer. I updated my email to be my college email. It's not for all fees. It's specifically for $60 and over is what I've seen. So just keep that in mind. If I spend $60 or more, I get no fees. So it's not exactly everything in there. Also, some people are saying that after they did this, they stopped receiving. Well, some people are saying they did it, and then it's been a couple weeks, and they have not seen the fees being waived. And they're also saying that they're no longer able to get promotions on their account now that they've added their EDU email address. I didn't know that before I added my EDU email address. I probably wouldn't have done it because Postmates has been doing some pretty fire discounts recently, like $20 off of a $25 order. So maybe you don't want to do this, but if you order pretty frequently and removing all fees, it's also just until the end of the year. So if that doesn't sound like something you're interested, don't go for it. I wonder if I can just change my email back and then like at the end of the year, because you can update your email anytime you want. So I wonder if that'll make some changes. Also, your Postmates account is the same as your Uber account. So they are owned by the same company and the apps are basically the same. It's just like a skin over it. So it'll also update your Uber email address. And also I noticed after I did this, my Uber account, whenever I look to purchase an Uber, when you go to buy the Uber and it shows the price and it'll show like a strike through of it, of like the regular price, and it'll show you the discounted price. My account right now, no matter what Uber I go to order or what I'm doing to order an Uber, it shows them all as like the normal price struck through and then $0. It says I've tried to order an Uber when it says $0 and it still wants to charge me the full price. I probably have a leg to stand on with Uber if I were to call it and then they charge me and just send them a screenshot and be like, hey, it was supposed to be $0. I don't want to risk it because obviously it's not meant to be $0. I don't know why it's showing that for me, but I figured I'd call that out. There's some weirdness going on there, at least for me. All right. Next, Dr. Credit reported that this happened a while ago, but Dr. Credit just recently shared about it, so I'm going to share about it. There was an old Paceline, not old, but like I think a year ago, there was a Paceline credit card that the sign-up bonus was you get an Apple Watch, and I think you had to do a particular set of challenges every week for like health or like fitness workouts, and you got every month a payout for the value of an Apple Watch over like a 12-month period. But Paceline closed down before the end of that, so they wound up just paying everybody out for the value of the Apple Watch, which was nice. They just announced that they're coming back with a credit card. It doesn't seem super interesting, but I signed up for the wait list. But something I did notice was that on Paceline's website, the image that they're using for the new Paceline card, because I have the credit card design blog post, I know a lot of what credit card designs look like. And the chip that they decided to use on that digital version of the new Paceline card is the same chip design, like the little chip that you use to insert into a kiosk. It's the same chip design that Cardless uses. And it's a very unique design where the chips are like round. The physical card doesn't look like that, but the digital cards look like that, like the marketing material. Either Paceline is pairing up with Cardless to issue the card, and that's why the chip looks like that, or they just like ripped the image offline. Like, it's kind of a pretty little design. They kind of could have just stolen it. I did notice that once I waitlisted for the product, in the email that was like, welcome to the waitlist, it was a different card design and a different chip design. So it does look like the one they emailed me is kind of like a template one. So maybe they just didn't bother updating it there, but that's interesting to note. Also, Cardless has a 1 card per person cap on all of their cards. So like, you can only have 1 Cardless product, period, and you can't product change. So if it is issued by Cardless, anybody who has a Cardless card would be ineligible to get the card. All right, next is a nice referral bonus actually that's going on right now. Upgrade they have a savings account called like the Premier Savings Account, and it offers 5% APY, but they're also offering up to $200 as a referral bonus. So if you deposit $15K, you get $50. If you deposit $30K, you get $100. If you deposit $50K, you get $200. And that's both for the referrer and the referee. So you have 30 days to deposit the funds, and then you have to leave it for an additional 60 days. So for 90 days. And also, like I said, their account is offering 5%, so that's pretty great. They also only offer the API if you have your account's over $1,000, so that's something to note. But that's a pretty great bonus. It's better than I think Capital One's right now. And let me do some quick math and see what the APY is for those 9 months. All right, doing some not very quick math, actually. It is not better than Capital One's. So I believe Capital One's was effective 10.4% APY. This one, for the first 2 buckets, so $15K for $50 or $30K for $100, that works out to, including the 5% bonus, including the 5% APY, 6.35% for both. So it's the same ratio if you do the lowest tier for both, so $15K or $30K, and then the $15K, it would be 6.62%, so slightly better APY. I feel like I'm doing this math wrong, but I don't think I am. Let me try this again. All right, I'm back. My math, I think, is right. I think Capital One's offer is just much better. So definitely do that one first if you're interested, and then go for the upgrade one if you also have a whole bunch of money lying around. But I think my math is right, so take that as you will. All right, next item. Last episode, I discussed my budgeting spreadsheet that I have, and I think I received an email from someone saying they couldn't find the spreadsheet, so I'll just link it in the show notes here. It's on my current bank accounts page, which hasn't been updated in a while, but if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there is an embedded spreadsheet as well as a direct link to the spreadsheet. It's sanitized and has some basic stuff in there. I mentioned this before. Maybe in the future I'll share my more fleshed out one on the Patreon at some point, but for now I think that's just good enough until I see some people that are interested. All right, next was Bank of America Double Cash Back Day, or not double cash, extra 2% cashback day. And that's something that I posted on the Patreon because it was just one day. I called it out last episode, but I did share on the day that it was, I think it was November 9th that it happened. So what I wound up doing was, over the past month of making a lot of purchases not on my Bank of America card, well, I used Curve. So Curve first, and then I routed it to a non-Bank of America card. And then on November 9th, I went in and used Go Back in Time on pretty much every transaction in the past month, and then calculated what my cashback would have been on another card, what the cashback now is for this card that I use with Bank of America. So all of it would be 4.5% because it's set to online shopping, and Bank of America sees all Curve transactions as online shopping. So, and I'm Preferred Rewards member, Platinum client, so I get an extra 50% boost to my cashback. But that boost doesn't apply to the extra 2%, just the base reward. So instead of 3%, I earned 4.5%. And then the extra 2% put me up to 6.5%. And then I subtracted what cashback I would have gotten with another card to get my actual net benefit of doing this whole thing. So overall, for one of my cards, the customized cash card, I moved over $1,316. And after subtracting, well, just the extra 2% that Bank of America gave me was $26. And that's important because they did a max of $50 per card. And the net benefit that I gained from the cash back, both the 2% and the 4.5%, minus the initial transaction, whether it was restaurants on a 4% card or a catch-all card for 2% or what have you, I netted an extra $47 just on my customized cash card. So that probably took me, I don't know, maybe like 10, 15 minutes to go through it all. And I logged it in the spreadsheet, so that took some time too, but it was less than an hour's worth of effort, and I got $47 out of it. Maybe I could spend my time better, but it's podcast material, I guess. So I had fun doing it. Anyway, next, for my unlimited cash rewards card, I paid my car insurance early. So I had $721 outstanding, and I didn't make the purchase yet, so I didn't have previous cash back at all, and the card earns 2.25% cash back because that card earns 1.5 times 50%, 2.25 plus an extra 2%, so 4.25 total. That net me $30. So Bank of America double cash back day, I earned $77.68, which was nice. All right, next, I forgot to call this out earlier, but every quarter Chase has this website for, I think it's chase.com/mybonus, where you give your last name, the last four digits of your card, your zip code, and it'll show you if you have any targeted offers for your card. This doesn't do an inquiry or anything. Chase just does these offers, but you have to check for them manually. So every quarter I go in and check and see if I'm targeted, and normally I'm not, but I was actually targeted for all three of my Chase cards. So for my Chase Amazon Visa, I was targeted for 5% back on dining from November 1st until the end of the year, up to a $1,000 spend. And that's actually useful because my normal max for dining is 4%. Well, technically 4.5% with my curve to online shopping for Bank of America customized cash. But I don't want to waste it on that because I get 4% with my cardless Boston Celtics card. And 0.5% is kind of just arbitrage. But an extra 1% is good enough for me to put the Chase Amazon Visa in my wallet and use it until I hit the 1K spend. Next, I got Chase Freedom Visa, so the old Chase Freedom. I just got a $25 off of HBO Max of spending $99 or more and that goes until September 30th of next year. I have HBO right now. I think I have it at $100 at like the legacy plan. I don't know what I'm going to do when it's due, but these streaming services are just getting too expensive. Next, Chase Freedom Flex MasterCard, so the new card, like the one that's currently publicly available. They offered me 7,000 points, which is $70 when you purchase a Chase Travel Portal of over $105 until January 31st of next year. And I believe there's different tiers for which card you use. I think like Chase Sapphire Reserve and Preferred have a higher points offer. And you have to have never made a purchase on the portal before. So I don't know if I'll be using that, but it's an offer that's there if I would like to. All right, next is something that was posted to the Patreon as well. I called this out last time and it expired, so this time I shared it on Patreon, but it's also expired now. But Top Cashback sometimes does like an incentive spend. So on Friday, if you activate the offer, spend $15, you get $2.50 back. So you can just buy a Top Cashback gift card for $15. That's what I do. And I get the $2.50 immediately in my Top Cashback account. So it's kind of free money. Next, a little bit of an update on the Venmo $1 cashback for dining purchases or fast food purchases or coffee purchases, really. But it's only for particular merchant category codes. And mine didn't work at like some mom and pop shops, but it did go to Dunkin' and it worked there. So I kind of got some pretty cheap Dunkin' coffee. And I said Every Penny Evan last time was the one that pointed this out, but actually it was One Frosty Lime on the Simple Finance Discord. So thank you, Evan, for correcting me and giving the correct credit to One Frosty Lime. Next, I was just digging through my Google Drive and I saw that I have a spreadsheet that I've tracked a bunch of different flavors of the Elon Max Cash card. So Elon is the parent company of US Bank, and they have a flavor of the US Bank Cash Plus card. Is that what it's called? US Bank Cash Plus? Yep, US Bank Cash Plus card. They have a flavor called Max Cash Preferred, which is a smaller sign-up bonus, but a little bit different 5% categories for that card. And US Bank partners with a bunch of small credit unions to offer these cards. And since I'm addicted to credit card images, I went through and found a bunch of them and looked at the credit card images. I personally have the Workers Federal Credit Union Elon Max Cash Preferred card. The Apple Wallet image does not look like the design that they have, but the physical card does. So I figured I'd just share that in case someone find that interesting. Next, we have just a little bit of a touch on Wells Fargo. Someone recently asked me for a data point on my Wells Fargo Active Cash sign-up bonus, and it happened a couple months ago, so I was going back to see when I actually met the MSR and when the sign-up bonus came in. But you can't, on Wells Fargo's website, go back in the UI past 3 months to look at transactions, which is horrible. And then also, my e-statements don't even have the $200 sign-up bonus on them. Like, the $200 sign-up bonus came in as a statement credit, not as rewards. But nowhere on any of my statements does it have the $200 deducted. So Wells Fargo has horrible IT, and that's just a perfect example. We've talked about Ally a bunch, but Ally has some more bonuses going on right now. They have a targeted one for if you have an auto loan. They're offering customers $250 for opening up a bank account with them, a checking account. So if that's an offer, that's great. And if you somehow don't have an Ally account with all these bonuses they've offered, that's a decent one. And also Swagbucks has a $150 bonus if you sign up for Ally as well. Next, I'm currently going for Blue Peak Credit Union referral. Clee gave me his referral, and I'm using that to get the referral bonus. So the bonus is $200 worth of requirement of just direct depositing $500 in 90 days. I waited for November 9th to open it to try and put it on one of my Bank of America cards because you can fund it with $500 credit card funding per account. But they didn't approve my account in time. They want me to unfreeze Experian. I told them don't do a hard pull, so we'll see if they do or not. But so that won't hit for the double cash back day, but I should still get a little cash back on the $500 funding per account. And I opened up 3 accounts, so $1,500 worth of free Bank of America points there. Next, I've called this out in the past, but Shell's doing another 20-cent day. So on November 20th, if you have fuel rewards, you can activate an offer. I don't have a link for it, but they've sent me an email. You can activate an offer, and on the 20th, you get 20 cents off your pump, your refill of gas. Some other random things I saw. There's a 6% 11-month CD and a $100 referral offer. If someone's interested in that. I don't have a referral, but figured I'd call it out. Dr. Credit has some links there. Built elevated their referral bonus to 10,000 points. I've discussed Built a little bit in the past. I actually applied for a Built card and they denied me, classic Wells Fargo. But that's actually a decent sign-up bonus, and it's for spend that you can't really get cash back for elsewhere. It's not super worth a hard pull or a new account being opened, but if you're like way over 524 and can get approved, might be a good option. And then finally, I just want to call out, I talked about this in Discord, but I figured I'd talk about it a little bit here. Disney Plus is raising their price again. Originally, when I purchased it back in December of 22, they charged me $80 for a year. And that's with shopping portals. I think I got like $15 off with shopping portal. And then I think another $25 through Bank of America deals. And now they want $140 for a year. And I'm definitely not going to renew. I've already canceled. It's not worth $140 a year for me. I don't really use Disney Plus ever. To be honest, I don't really use any of my streaming services, but I tend to pay for all of them. So maybe I'll just have mass exodus at some point. But I figured I'd call that out. If you're someone who had Disney Plus, maybe take a look at your emails and see if you also, I think everyone's going to be paying that price, but see if it's worth it for you. That's about it for today. I have some ideas for some topic episodes coming up here. I think I want to cover CVS Care Pass. I definitely called this up before. I want to have an episode where I just discuss all my cards and what categories I use for them, kind of just like a verbal version of my current credit cards or like my what's in my wallet. Maybe a review of my tracker that I called out, and then maybe a review of my Nest card. But we'll see. Anyway, I hope you enjoy your weekend, and thanks for listening. Have a good one.